Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me call to order this pre-commission meeting for Tuesday, April the 7th, and read these instructions one more time for those that are watching us live stream, as well as members of the media. Pursuant to instructions from the President of the United States, Honorable Donald J. Trump, the Governor of Georgia, the Honorable Brian Kemp, as well as myself, the Mayor of Macon-Bibb County. Macon-Bibb County Commission meeting scheduled for Tuesday, April the 7th will be available for the Macon-Bibb County Commissioners by conference call only. Only now we're using Zoom, so we actually have some video for us as well. For the 5 o'clock pre-commission meeting, as well as the 6 o'clock regular commission meeting. The commission chambers will be closed to the public and the press as we follow the recommendations from the White House to limit public gatherings for the next 15 days in order to slow the spread of the COVID-19 virus. Therefore, the public and the press may only access the meeting simultaneously online at www.maconbibb.us or www.facebook.com/Macon-Bibb County. And for the benefit of the commissioners, in case we get through with this pre-commission meeting before the 6 o'clock time and you want to have a comfort break or whatever, you'll have to click on leave the meeting. And then when it's time for the regular commission meeting at 6 o'clock, please log back in with the same meeting ID and password. First item on our agenda are announcements. And as we can all tell, because we are meeting virtually with this Zoom technology and trying to get used to that, we are still in the midst of this COVID-19 healthcare crisis. The noon update today showed Macon-Bibb County with 42 confirmed cases and one death thus far in Macon-Bibb County. That was a 96-year-old female, as I understand it. The next update will be at 7 o'clock tonight through the Department of Public Health, and you can access that information at 7 o'clock or shortly thereafter at www.dph, as in Department of Public Health, .Georgia, all spelled out, georgia.gov, G-O-V. So that's www.dph.georgia.gov. Also, the governor's shelter-in-place executive order is set to expire at 11:59 p.m. on Monday, April the 13th. That is the day after Easter. So the governor's order of stay at home and prohibiting gatherings of 10 or more people covers Easter. And I want to stress that people are to avoid gatherings of more than 10 people. We can all find ways to celebrate this holy day while protecting the health of our families and community. We are monitoring the spread of COVID-19 throughout the state and especially here in Middle Georgia. We are told to expect a peak demand for services at hospitals and medical facilities to be between April the 20th and April the 22nd is when they estimate that the peak for demand for medical services will be in our area. Should the governor not extend his order, which runs out on April the 13th, we will have to make a determination of whether or not to reinstate our local state of emergency ordinance to get us through the peak demand for services. We have all altered our services to help protect our employees and the community, and that means limited or no public access to offices, teleworking where possible, and alternate days for crews, additional building cleaning, social distancing, and of course, our use of Zoom here tonight for commission meetings. But you can visit www.maconbibb.us/COVID-19, COVID-19 for updates or changes to our services. The newest change to our services, well, it's with our solid waste, since there has been an noticeable increase in household garbage being placed on the curb at people's houses. We have suspended yard waste collection to help advanced services pick up the excess garbage and Advanced Disposal is picking up additional cans or carts, but they have to be of the type that their machine, their one-armed machine, can grab and empty. Our people are coming along behind the ADS and picking up other garbage that's in sacks or bags or left on the curbside, because Advanced doesn't have the capability to pick that up with the one-arm machinery. So we're all kind of going to work to get the garbage picked up and be sure we don't have an additional health problem there. We all know our small businesses are being impacted. We continue to hear from them daily, and owners can go to www.sba, as in Small Business Administration, sba.gov for programs, grants, and support through the U.S. Small Business Administration. I also want businesses to check with the Greater Macon Chamber of Commerce, Newtown Macon, and the University of Georgia's Small Business Development Center for help navigating these new programs. Each has been providing regular updates and holding webinars or presentations. People are hurting and are in a stressful place now due to the loss of income, even jobs, all while trying to keep their families healthy and educate their children at home. I'm grateful for the stimulus bill that Congress has passed, and we are told will provide some immediate relief. I want to reiterate that these are unprecedented and challenging times, whether you contract the virus or yourself or not. We are all being challenged separately since we are apart, but we are all in this together. By staying home, avoiding crowds, taking preventive measures, we can flatten the curve and come out on the other side stronger. So I'm delighted that we are continuing to make the kind of progress that we are making with this, and I'm confident that we'll come through this stronger than ever before. I want to review the agenda for tonight's 6 o'clock meeting with you, and to take up one or two items of business. So we are meeting tonight as a committee of the whole at this pre-commission meeting, and have a couple of items of action, or a couple of items for action at the pre-commission meeting. The first pertains to a denial of a new alcohol beverage license. This is for VK Napier LLC, doing business as the Napier Neighborhood Grocery, located at 1095 Pinona Avenue. This is the intersection of Pinona and Napier Avenue. It was formerly a SunTrust Bank branch. They were in the process, I understand, of converting it to some sort of a convenience store or grocery store, and had applied for an alcohol license. Michael, if you're still tuned in and listening, it is my understanding that we tried to get in touch with them about some concerns, but were not provided with accurate information, contact information. Can you speak to that, please, sir?
Mr. Mayor, I can speak to that matter.
Go ahead.
Mr. McNeil and I made several attempts to reach out to the registered owner of this business. We emailed, we made phone calls, and we sent certified letter inviting the owner or agent to a commission meeting to be able to address your concerns and questions. That letter was returned undelivered. Our phone calls were either answered by somebody who was not the proper party, or were not even good numbers. Email was returned. We then sent notice that was mailed on March 9th to the registered agent. That was sent certified mail. The clock started at that point. They were given a presumption of 3 days for receipt. The letter was actually returned to sender on March 12th. There was a 10-day period that they would have been allowed to request a hearing if that was the desire of the party. That's what the law would provide for. But basically, you would be authorized to deny this application based upon the code that allows or requires and places a duty on the applicant to provide current and updated contact information, and that was not done in this particular situation.
And I understand, thank you, Michelle, and I understand that that constitutes a basis upon which we can deny the application for alcohol beverage at that location.
That is correct, Mr. Mayor.
So what we need is a motion to deny this license for alcohol beverage at that location because of the lack of accurate information provided in the application.
Motion for denial.
Second.
Got a motion by Watkins and a second by Jones to deny the license. Is there further discussion about this? Hearing none, all in favor of denying the license, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes clearly have it, and the license will be denied. Will that be on our 6 o'clock agenda for additional action as well at the formal meeting? Duke, the county attorney says it's got one more vote tonight at the 6 o'clock meeting to confirm that, but that'll be a recommendation of the committee of the whole. The other item of new business, and I think we're doing real well on time here. The other item of new business is actually old business. We had a contract for the new tennis pro that was taken up at our last full meeting, but was tabled at that meeting. And because there was a fifth Tuesday in between, we're just now getting back to that, but it was tabled and referred back to the committee of the whole for further discussion and investigation about the background of other circumstances, more so than about the selection of the particular tennis pro. Who can speak to that? Duke, can you speak to that and kind of where we are?
Do we need to hire a tennis pro right now? Or can we continue to save the money?
Well,
to be perfectly honest, let me see if I can call on Duke, see if he can come in now and kind of tell us where we are. And yes, we do need to make some offer.
Got it. Yeah. This is, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Michael, were you, I think you were the one involved in this contract. Will you speak to the details as to where we are with the agape?
I'm going to toss to Michelle on this one too, because she drafted this contract.
Oh, did she draft? Okay. Michelle, will you speak to the details of it? Michelle? Okay.
well, I can until Michelle unmutes, I can tell you your question, Commissioner Watkins, that she's already hired. This position has two parts to it. One is the actual employment itself, and the other one is the contract. The employment has already been offered, and she's already on the job. This part of the contract here is kind of like for the additional duties that she performs as the tennis professional for the county. The terms of the contract are, I believe it's a graduated scale. Michelle can go over the particulars of that. I see you're unmuted now. But to answer your question, she's already an employee. This is for the contract for the additional duties. Go ahead, Michelle.
That is correct. Sorry about that. I was locked on mute. Yes, so Amy was already hired as the county tennis manager. This is kind of a supplement to her employment offer. It is kind of traditionally what we've done with our professionals, like with golf and now with tennis in the past. A graduated fee that would be involved in this. It's a 5-year renewal contract. For the first year, it would be $9,000. For the second, $18,000, and then years 3 through 5, $24,000. That's what she would be paying for use of the facilities to operate her private business, which is Agape Tennis Academy. There are terms in there that would tie this private or supplemental contract with the terms of her employment, in that if her employment with the county terminated, this contract would automatically terminate as well. We do have the standard termination for convenience language in there as well. So at any time, if either party is not satisfied with the arrangement with 30 days notice, the contract can terminate. And an additional term in the contract is that not only would Amy have to be compliant with Safe Sport, but any of her employees or subcontractors would have to be compliant with Safe Sport as well, which is
Question.
Yes.
How do we end up discussing an item that was tabled? Did I miss it? I know I got on late, but did somebody make a motion to untable to start a discussion?
Actually, we didn't make a motion. It was tabled and referred back to the committee of the whole, is my understanding of where we were. So I just put it on this agenda for discussion.
But I didn't think you can put a motion on the table for discussion if it's tabled, sir. You have to first get a motion to untable before we start discussing the item, sir. I think everybody knows
my impression, and I'll call on the county attorney, Mayor Pro Tem, but my impression was it was tabled at the full commission meeting and referred back to the committee of the whole. So I thought it would, I didn't realize that it would take a motion to take it off the table for discussion back in the committee of the whole, because it was back in the committee, but I'll defer to the county attorney.
And to further make the point, if the motion to table stipulates that it was referred back to the table of the whole, and then I was thinking we still would need a motion to untable it. So just whatever the process was, but I just remember the motion was just to table it. But and so I mean, I still don't, I'm fine with going forward with it, but I'm just saying I just want to do it correctly for any future motions that were tabled. I didn't think we just start having discussion on motions that were tabled.
Mr. Mayor, this is Commissioner Wynn. If that's the issue, then I'll move to untable this item.
Well, let's make sure that we do it the right way. It's not that you can make a motion. Just what the question was for the attorney or the mayor to answer the question to the response, not whether we're going to untable or not untable it.
And I've said I'm going to defer to the county attorney. So let's get a ruling as to whether we need a motion or not.
Yeah, the motion would be proper. There was an explanation from Michelle about what you're talking about, but a motion would be proper to take from the table. And then if the motion passes, then the
we had all this discussion.
the next item, she was explaining what it is, but yeah, you can make a motion to.
Okay, so I move that we untable this.
And I second it.
So I've got a motion and second to untable this for further discussion and debate at this point. That's a non-debatable motion. So I say it's a non-debatable. A motion to table is non-debatable. So I suppose a motion to take it off the table would be non-debatable as well.
Correct.
That's my interpretation. So all those in favor of taking it off the table for further discussion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. So the motion or the resolution is off the table for further discussion. Anyone have any particular questions that they want to direct to Michael or Michelle about the contract or where we are with this? And before we do that, I would say that I think it's important that we finalize all of the arrangements, to go to Commissioner Watkins' point, finalize all of the arrangements so that the tennis pro can begin doing all of the ancillary activities that we hope she'll do, of trying to book tournaments for the future, that she needs to start making contact as soon as she can for tournaments next year and the year after that, et cetera, et cetera. So the sooner we get her fully employed and all of the contract details worked out, I think the better off we're going to be. But that's just my personal opinion. Further discussion?
I had a question.
Commissioner Lucas.
Thank you. My question is, with the fees, I'm very happy that we're now going to be getting some fees from the tennis function, because in the past and over the years, we've not gotten anything. And we've been paying all of the bills and providing the facilities and the staff and everything else. So I'm glad now that we're at least getting some fees that are coming in to the county. Those fees are coming to the county. Is that, am I Correct. All right. My question is, what do we anticipate, and maybe Dr. Moffett knows, what do we anticipate the total amount received from those additional services will be? I'm trying to compare that with what we're being paid. Does anybody have any idea?
Yes, ma'am. That is exactly what the contract specifies. That contract is a firm amount that she will pay us for the exclusive rights to the facilities as she conducts lessons, programs, and any other outside of tournaments. And again, those numbers Michelle just went over, she pays that to us on a yearly basis.
I understand that. I'm talking about what will she make from those?
She will, well, she determined her fees based on whatever work she goes out and drums up for herself. So
Okay,
whatever she does,
well, maybe it's not, we don't have enough information yet. Maybe we need to just kind of review it somewhere down the line to see how much money is generated. And then we'll look and see if the fees that are being paid to Macon-Bibb are fair to us, because I understand from what's already been said that we have the option of reviewing regularly. So that's good. Insurance is my other question. Who pays insurance, and are we paying insurance for the private lessons?
No, she'll be required to carry her own insurance.
What's the amount?
It's the standard policy terms that we normally require for all of our contractors. The individual terms are in the contract.
I think it's
Okay.
What were
All
you-
right, that's all I had. I'm okay.
I'll chime in. It's the 300,000, 100,000 is the standard. That's what she's required to maintain, Commissioner Lucas.
And we also discussed with her making sure that her subcontractors were also covered. But that would be her responsibility and it would fall back on her. I just wanted to add in, Commissioner Lucas, you bring up a very good point about making sure that we're able to track income built into the contract so that we can get financial records and reports so that we can track this for the future.
Okay. All right.
I've
good.
got a question from Commissioner Jones.
Yes, not a question, but a comment for all my colleagues, and I sent all of you an email. This has been thoroughly vetted. This was constructed primarily through our tennis consultant, Jamie Kaplan. And it's modeled after what we used before. The big difference is this person will be paying a fair amount to us, whereas the previous one was very one-sided, so to speak. The previous tennis director pro was paying us $700 a quarter or $2,800 a year. Not a very large amount. So this professional services agreement, which is in addition to her salary, just like before, except year one, as Michelle stated, she pays us $9,000 a year. It's paid on a quarterly basis, it's prorated a little bit. On the first 6 months, it's $500 a month. The second 6 months, it's $1,000 per month. Year two, she pays us $18,000 a year or $1,500 a month, payable quarterly. In years 3 through 5, she pays $24,000 a year or $2,000 per month, payable quarterly. This is so that she has the use of the courts to teach. Her income comes from what she charges individuals for lessons, but she'd be paying these fees, which is much more fairer to Macon-Bibb County, and that's what I think we all want. But this was constructed by Jamie Kaplan. It's well done. It's well thought out. They agreed to it. So I implore you not to I implore you to approve it because it's been thoroughly vetted. There should not be any more questions regarding this. It's been out there. We talked about it. And it's very fair to us, unlike the one previously was not fair to us because it was one-sided in favor of the tennis pro. This one is not. It's very fairly constructed, and it will, the tennis job, county tennis manager as it is, was added to the organization chart. Tennis is the one recreation sport that actually brings in lots and lots of dollars through people that are staying here, sales tax, all the revenues coming from people playing tournaments here. So Macon has been a real tennis mecca in the state. We've lost a couple because the last 2 years we've not had a county tennis manager. So this person, as I wrote you in the email, she lived here from ages 5 through 12. She learned how to play tennis here. She's so excited about her contract and being here in Macon. Her mother was the head of the Mentors Project here in Macon. So she's a Division I player, and she is, Jamie Kaplan and the people who interviewed her are real excited about her and what she's going to bring to our community. So I hope you will approve this professional service agreement because it has been thoroughly vetted and thought out, and it is much to our benefit to have this one over the one we had in the past. Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Got a motion by Allen and a second by Wynn. Commissioner Lucas?
Yeah, are the fees paid to us, whether those amounts are made from the private lessons or whatever?
Yes.
Whether the money is made or
They have nothing to do with how much.
Mallory, I'm not opposed to this. I'm simply asking some questions. So
Simply answering.
just calm yourself down. I'm just trying to understand.
Okay.
And so just allow me to ask a few things. But that was what I wanted to know, whether there was some built-in things. And I agree with you, Mallory, that over the years, that contract has not been fair to Macon-Bibb County. We've given away a whole lot of stuff. The final thing, and I promise you, Mr. Mayor, I'm through. If private citizens want to come and use tennis courts and they're scheduled to be used for the private lessons, how will that be handled?
I'll defer to the county attorney on that, but I would think it would be
the average citizen.
Yeah, right. I would think that. Well, let me just let the attorney speak to that.
So Amy will have access to a certain number of courts per facility, which will enable the public to have use of the courts as well. A master calendar will be in place that's going to be kept by the director, so that there is plenty of use, for the public as well. And then I'd also add that in this contract, Amy is offering free clinics, like a certain number of free clinics for tennis and pickleball, to also add a service and benefit to the community.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and it'll be back on tonight's agenda for final approval at the 6 o'clock meeting.
Mr. Mayor, if you have a moment.
Yes,
I want
sir,
to go back earlier to your, could you expand a little bit on the garbage collection process that you were mentioning?
I'll be glad to, and if the county manager is listening in, he may be able to do a better job of this than I could. Dr. Moffitt, you still listening in?
Yes, sir.
Can you address Commissioner Watkins' concern about a little bit of additional information on the garbage pickup issue?
And just for a little bit more detail on my question, I noticed that you said we were supplementing ADS, and I know this is a pandemic and there's a lot of extra stuff going on, but we are under contract with ADS. So I was wondering about contract compliance and how long did because we have things that we're supposed to be doing too. And you mentioned something was going to go lacking. So I just wanted some clarity.
Well, what the solid waste director contacted me on last evening and told me her concerns that there was an enormous amount of additional household garbage being put out, and it was causing her crews to work longer hours, which we're trying to do again some rotating schedules and things like that as we try to give relief to our employees. So in talking to her, she asked, could we modify some of our pickups to where we could focus on that household garbage and not so much so on the larger, bulkier items, to give residents opportunity to dispose of them themselves by bringing them down to the landfill. So one of the things—
Excuse me, just clarify for me and just remind me, our obligation and ADS's obligation when there's trash on the side of the street, what is that? What are we, yes. What is ADS responsible for?
ADS is responsible for the green can. They bring around they go through the neighborhoods and pick up the one arm, cans with the one arms, and we pick up everything else that's left.
Okay, and the problem that you're having is with what you call household garbage is the green can or not the green can?
It is both. People have put out additional cans and people have put out additional bags alongside the can. You have more people at home now, and so you have more trash out there. So what we're doing is we want to focus on picking up that household trash, which we know will limit us, and because it takes more time to pick up the sofas, the stoves, and things of that nature. And so we want to suspend that for 2 weeks as we focus on picking up more household garbage.
Okay, so my understanding, Commissioner Watkins, is that Advanced Disposal has agreed to pick up second or third carts. In other words, if somebody has additional carts that they will facilitate or can be lifted by their machinery, the one-armed bandit that I refer to them as, then they'll take the second or third cart that's put out beside the road. But the bags of garbage or boxes and stuff like that, they're not able to pick up with the arm, and therefore our people are coming along behind that to kind of supplement what they're doing in this current period.
All right. So
additionally, we are matching the same days with ADS. In the past, we've kind of like tried to work the routes throughout the week. So now we will match the same day with ADS, except for because we have a 4-day week. We don't, our crews don't run on Friday. That route that's on Friday with ADS, we will pick up on Thursday.
Okay. All right, so the only change for citizens is for 2 weeks. The bulky, like you say, items, don't put those out. Does that include yard debris or leaves and sticks or no?
Well, it does. And we're asking citizens to be patient with us as we try to focus on household, which is the more immediate public health. But again, we can't take yard waste into our landfill. But if someone has the bulkier items, we're going to suspend that for 2 weeks down at the landfill so they can dispose of those couches, mattresses, things like that. They can do that on their own.
Okay, you take it to the landfill for free yourself if you got a big item like that.
As long as you're a Bibb County resident, you have to show your ID.
All right, I yield. Thank you.
We're putting that information out in the community through the news outlets and through our hub.
All right, thank you for that clarification.
I've got another item on the agenda, which is actually to review the agenda for tonight, and I want to get there, but I understand Commissioner Allen may have a request that he wants to make of us at this point. Commissioner Allen?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, back in 2018, we voted on the splash to build ranger stations and doing the bathrooms at Tobesaki. I've talked to staff and come to find out we are under budget to getting that taken care of, to get everything done out there that needs to be done. It's on a agenda item tonight, and I would like to move it to that we vote on tonight due to the fact that we can get it in to the turn to go ahead and get it completed by July 4th. We need this ranger station, these bathrooms corrected, and some things to be done out at Tobesaki The money's there. We're under budget. And I'd like to make a motion, if it would, Mr. Mayor, that we put it on the agenda tonight to pass and get it through this committee.
And what I'd like to do.
I'll second it.
Okay, but before we get further into this, as I understand it, this is the contract with the low bidder that was selected after
Yes, sir.
it went out for bid with Warren Associates. And I'll ask the clerk if she can to read the caption of it so that you can identify it. It's on your agenda for the 6 o'clock meeting, but under new business for referral. So this would move it from new business and being referred to trying to put it on old business and vote on it tonight, so Warren and Associates could go ahead and get started with the construction. Madam Clerk, can you?
Yes, sir. Give me just a moment.
Okay, she's pulling it up. Hold on just a second.
Gee,
Want me to read it? I've got it right here.
It's 132 pages. Give me just a minute.
Right. Well, the caption is a resolution authorizing the mayor to approve a construction contract with Warren Associates Incorporated to build the Lake Tobosoffke Ranger Station in the amount of $1,324,500 to be paid from 2018 SPLOST proceeds recreation Lake Tobosoffke property line item. So this is the construction contract. So if you want more time to look at the construction contract, you'd have to refer it, but this is a standard construction contract, which Janice just indicated was probably 100 pages long, 132 pages long, a standard construction contract with Warren and Associates. So you got a motion by Commissioner Allen, and I think I had a second to add it to the agenda. Did I have a second?
Yes.
Yeah, Schlesinger moved to second.
Good. Schlesinger
Under
moved to
contract
second.
too, Mr. Mayor.
Excuse me?
We're under
Commissioner
the
Allen?
contract price we thought of. We're under that price.
Right. Okay. So I've got a motion and a second then to add that to this agenda. And then if it gets favorable consideration here in this meeting, the 5 o'clock meeting, it would actually go under old business at the 6 o'clock meeting for final approval. Is
Yes,
there
sir.
further discussion about this, Commissioner Lucas?
My question is, does the chair of appropriations have a problem with this circumventing his committee? If
No,
he
I'm saying,
doesn't have a problem,
no,
pardon?
2018. No, I don't. I'm saying looking through the details now.
all right, I think we ought to be respectful of the chairs on these particular different items and make sure that they're okay with it. Otherwise, like I say all the time, there's no point in having chairs if we don't consult with them from time to time on things. So I have no problem with it either.
Good. Is there further discussion? Then all those in favor of the resolution to approve the contract with Warren and Associates signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, I'm
Aye.
sorry. I'm being
Move,
corrected.
yeah.
I'm being
Add
corrected.
To
Add it
approve
to
it, to
add it
move
to the agenda for this
Agenda.
meeting. So that's the first step. All in favor of adding it to this agenda for action tonight in the pre-commission meeting signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, the ayes have it. So it's officially added to this agenda. Now, is there further discussion about this agenda item? That is the construction contract with Warren and Associates for the Ranger Station and bathroom upgrades at Lake Tobosoffke. Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the
So moved.
resolution? Got a motion by Wynn, second by Jones. Further
Okay.
discussion?
Where's the location? Is this gonna be near the water park?
It's
Is this
actually
near-
a Claystone. It's actually a
It runs
I think,
Claystone.
isn't it, Commissioner
Is
Allen?
that a different one?
It's
It's
different from,
It's Claystone, Miss Lucas.
not
It's,
Sandy Beach.
And
Okay.
no, it's Claystone and there's doing additional work out there, but not at the water park.
All right, yeah, okay.
Heaven forbid it be at the water park.
I tell you, I'd be voting no.
I'd go with you.
Thank
Is
you.
there further discussion? Hearing none, I've got a motion and a second to approve the contract with Warren and Associates. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. We will add that as old business to the 6 o'clock agenda. We'll move it from new business to old business. That's a pretty good segue then to let me slip over and go over the agenda for tonight's meeting. I think you will find it.
Mr. Mayor, before you do that, could I make
Yes,
a
ma'am.
request, please? I still would like to see the outside attorneys that we have and the cases that they are handling. And I'd also like to see those companies that have these $1 million, these high-end contracts with Macon-Bibb for projects, and see where we are on those, what we're spending with the different companies. Warren, any of the ones that do work like this for Bibb County.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because I know we have approved a lot of contracts. I remember the one for the Booker T. Washington Center that we've recently approved. I know that there's another one for Elm Street Park, and so yeah, all you're talking about
At Jeffersonville Road and a number of others, right, that, you know, maybe where we think they should be, but they might not be where we think they should be.
I'll try to accommodate that request and get that to us perhaps by next week if I can.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So the rest of the agenda for tonight at 6 o'clock, we'll approve the minutes of our meeting from March the 17th, the pre-commission meeting and the regular commission meeting. Those were both prepared and sent out to you electronically. Next is the consent agenda. There are no new alcohol license applications, but we will be voting again the second time to deny the license for VK Napier LLC, doing business as Napier Neighborhood Grocery at 1095. That'll be a committee of the whole recommends approval of the denial, if that makes any sense. So recommends denying that license. Old business. And Rachel, I hope you are listening and can show the graphics here momentarily. We have 3 items that deal with closing a street or lane over there off of Oglethorpe Street. This is to accommodate action by Mercer University in building intramural soccer fields, as I understand it. And it's bordered on one side by the interstate I-75. It's bordered on the top or east side, I would say, by the railroad, Central Georgia Railroad. It's bounded by Linden Avenue and on the south side, and by Oglethorpe Street. So Tatnall Square, if you're looking at the graphics now, Tatnall Square Park is just off of the screen to your lower right. But that's oopsie, yeah, is that? No, that's the dog park. That's the dog park. Yeah. The green is the dog park. Right. So you can see the interstate, but what's outlined in red now for you is Chestnut Street, and the top is Chestnut Street Lane, and this leaves open Linden Avenue at the bottom of the screen, bordering the dog park, and Railroad Avenue that runs beside the railroad. Those would remain open, and the other part is this little section of Dannenberg Avenue, but it is not all that is circled in red. Actually, they are not acquiring the first 100 feet or so of Dannenberg off of Linden, because the gas company uses that to access a gas pumping station, and the resident that lives on the corner uses that to access her backyard. So actually the portion of Dannenberg that's being closed is about 100 feet away from Linden there to the end, and Mercer University owns all of that property now, other than those 2 parcels from Oglethorpe all the way to the railroad. So those are the three streets that are, the petition is to close, and we've been out and talked to all of the owners, and everybody seems to be satisfied with what we're closing. And it's not going to cause a problem. The committee of the whole heard these three resolutions and agreed to move them forward and to provide additional information about was there going to be any obstruction or lack of access or this, that, or the other, and we have found none of concern.
What about parking? Will there be a need for additional parking anywhere? And has that already been taken care of?
Commissioner Lucas, now I do not know exactly what the parking arrangements are going to be over there. I am assuming that this location was selected because of its proximity to the university.
Okay.
And within easy walking distance, but if there is some parking, they may have to try to accommodate that in a small lot. But it would be on their property and it wouldn't further interfere with any of the street patterns.
Okay.
Further questions or comments about those first three items on our agenda under old business? That's closing a portion of Dannenberg, closing Chestnut Street Lane, and closing Chestnut Street, as we've just showed you. Any further questions, comments, or concerns about those three? If not, we'll go to item D. Item D is to purchase some turnout gear for the fire department. It's $118,783.35 for the purchase of V-Force turnout gear to be paid from 2018 SPLOST funds. Committee of the whole. Oh, look, we've got Commissioner Lucas. Look, we've got you some turnout gear.
Hey, we're all right.
You wouldn't use it.
All right, so
it's fire department, Joe.
That's right.
I know. I was there for 33.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
All right. Then the next is item E, and that's the purchase of a Zamboni 546 ice resurfacer. And I'm going to be really amused and surprised if we've got a picture of a Zamboni ice resurfacer. But they tell me, hot dogs, they tell me that we need it because the old one is wore out and doesn't. Oh, look at him. We're uptown. I want to say thank you to Rachel for getting all these graphics and putting them up there where we can all. So that's your Zamboni 546 ice resurfacer, $152,267.05. But that'll enable the hockey team to continue to play and people to ice skate and so on and so forth. We approve that as committee of the whole. Then the resolution to approve the terms of a professional services agreement with Agape Tennis Center that was to be subject to a favorable action in the committee of the whole. We got that, so it's on here. And then item G will be the Lake Tobesofsky item that we will add. Then under new business, we've got a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with the Southern Center for Choice Theory, LLC, to provide counseling sessions to participants on swift, certain, and fair domestic violence probation who have been evaluated for placement in the Family Violence Intervention Program with funds from the Swift, Certain, and Fair Supervision grant. I suppose we'll take that up again as a committee of the whole next Tuesday while we're under these circumstances. Item B is a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with Lori M. Dodson, attorney at law, LLC, to provide criminal legal representation to participants on swift, certain, and fair domestic violence probation with funds from the Swift, Certain, and Fair Supervision grant not to exceed a total of $5,000. Item C under new business would be a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with the law offices of Amanda R. Richardson, LLC, to provide criminal legal representation to participants on swift, certain, and fair domestic violence probation with funds from the Swift, Certain, and Fair Supervision grant not to exceed $5,000. Item D under new business is a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with the Southern Center for Choice Theory, LLC to provide individual counseling services to participants of swift, certain, and fair domestic violence with funds from the swift, certain, and fair supervision grant. Item E is a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with the Step After Evidence-Based Programming LLC to provide counseling services to participants on the swift, certain, and fair domestic violence probation who've been evaluated for placement in the moral recognition. I'm gonna have to do my homework. Moral recognition therapy with funds from the swift, certain, and fair supervision grant. The next is item F. It's a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with S&K Professionals Limited Liability Company to provide individual counseling services to participants on the swift, certain, and fair domestic violence probation with funds from the swift, certain, and fair supervision grant. Then item G is actually the one we voted on. That's the contract with Warren and Associates for the Lake Tobesofkee. So rather than being new business, it'll be under old business. And finally, item H is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter a contract with the Georgia Department of Transportation for the purpose of constructing an airfield beacon at the Middle Georgia Regional Airport to be funded in the amount of $123,493.36 in federal funds, $2,695.57 in state funds, and $3,804.08 plus any project over funds to be paid as a local match from the airport budget interfund local match line item. Those are all of the new business items we've got coming out of the attorney's office thus far. But of course, check your agenda on Friday and see what else we've been able to generate and post for next week. We are almost at the 6 o'clock hour. I don't know whether anybody wants to get off and take a break, but if so, you can.
May I interject real quick, Mr. Mayor, if that's all right? For the sake of the live stream, so we can keep it going since everyone's connected, we were going to just go to a slide for a moment and mute everyone, and everyone should stay in place if that works for you guys. That way our live stream will not be interrupted for those viewing the meeting.
That'll be perfect. So just stand by, y'all. It'll be about 2 minutes, I think, before we get to the 6 o'clock hour, and then we'll convene the 6 o'clock meeting. So stand by.